You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for an incredible episode of the African Father in America podcast. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and today I'm really privileged to be joined here by an incredible leader, Ming Tung Endelman, who is an incredible, founder of one of the organizations here in the Pacific Northwest that really support the immigrant community, especially women. Ming, go ahead and say hello to our viewers and our listeners today.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Simon, for inviting me to be your program. My name is Ming Tung Edelman. I'm an immigrant from Taiwan and a founder of Refugee Arts Initiative that I started about almost 6 years ago.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ming. When we confirmed that we were going to be able to have you on the show, I just got excited because I have a lot of love and respect for the work that you do. For those who are meeting Ming for the first time, Ming founded Refugee Artisan Initiative that literally provides jobs, provides a place of refuge, and provides a space for creativity for amazing women from Ethiopia, from Afghanistan, from Nepal. I was there myself recently, and I was really my mind was just blown by the impact that Ming is having in the community. But as usual, we start our show with an African proverb, and today we are going to take a quick virtual journey to Tanzania, where our proverb comes from. And I am actually just quickly setting up our clubhouse space so that our friends who are joining us over there can also participate in this beautiful conversation. I just want to welcome Cabs. I see you, and I see Brother Rushi and Kiden, another podcaster who has joined us for today's show, and Brother Earth. And also I see Taban on YouTube and M. Jewel. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join us. Our proverb says, the way a donkey expresses gratitude is by giving someone a bunch of cakes. The way a donkey expresses gratitude is by giving someone a bunch of cakes. When you think about this proverb from Tanzania, it personally reminds me of a Kiswahili proverb that says, asante apunda ni mateke, which means exactly the same thing. You can do so many things for the donkey, but one day it will kick you. It will kick you and totally forget about all the good that you did for it. But there are 3 nuggets of wisdom that my team and I prepared for you today, and I want to share them right now. The first one says that gratitude can be unique, and maybe that's how the donkey knows how to say thank you, so we just have to accept it. And then the second one says that think before acting. A lot of the time, you think that you should expect gratitude from a donkey, but that's probably not. You should not. You should do. You should just, help and then go your way. Sometimes you should expect very little from those that we help, whether it's a donkey or other people. And then finally, our last nugget of wisdom says that appreciate the small things. Many times we, especially when you are a founder like my special guest today, or myself, or you're a community leader or a business leader, you wait to be grateful during Thanksgiving, you wait to be grateful during the holiday season, but it's the little things every day that mean a lot and can push you through the day and also push you through the year. So this proverb is suggesting that, we should appreciate just the little things, because if we wait for the big thing, it might be a disappointment. So I want to, ask you, Ming, to also share with us your thoughts about today's proverb from Tanzania. It says that the way a donkey expresses gratitude is by giving someone a bunch of kicks. What do you think about this proverb?
I think this is a perfect reflection of my very early stage of starting my organization out of my car. Out the desire to make sure that refugee and immigrant women who would like to sew, able to use their skills, but don't have the mean for it. So I will be literally carrying a sewing machine in the back of my car and go to different parts of south end of Seattle or the north end. And initially, knowing that they need machine to start out, so every time I make the profit, I would go buy sewing machines. But then very quickly, the word gets out that I get free sewing machine, and it's become an entitlement of the woman. And that was when I got frustrated. Was like, don't you appreciate what I get this machine for you, free of charge, and now you're saying that your neighbors you have one, and so anyway, it actually creates a bit of a conflict in the beginning. So I think the purple is very relevant, and then I have to look at myself in the mirror. Do I take this personally? Or is that because there's such a need in the community? So by not let that affecting me reacting to them and showing the idea that having the machine is a critical part of what they can do, and let's move on to see how we can make that arrangement work in the future. So yeah, that was definitely very difficult in the beginning. So I think the proverb was very appropriate.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ming Ming. I love how this is exactly related to the work and the struggles of starting an incredible organization like what you're doing with the Refugee Artisan Initiative. For those who are joining us, my guest is really someone, I love bringing guests that I care about the work that they do. And I also love bringing guests that are directly impacting the community. There are people who have written books about the ideas that they want to do in their community. There are people who have stories about the work that they want to do in their community. But for me, I especially have a big, admiration for leaders like Ming Ming, who are actually living their dream, but also making their dream impact the lives of many, many people. So if you're just joining us and watching on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and share, and also make sure you leave a comment down below. And if you are on Clubhouse, thank you so much. Make sure you invite other people to join us as well. My guest is Ming Ming Tang Endelman, and she's an immigrant from Taiwan, and she's literally living her lifelong purpose by running Refugee Artisan Initiative, an amazing and an award-winning nonprofit organization. If you think about how many times she's been featured in local news here on Seattle Times, King 5. She's also been featured on other major outlets, but the awards that she's won because of the work that she's doing is just incredible. And we will be able to share that with you in the blog some other time, from the Business Leadership Award from International Examiner to the 2022 Be Bold Women Award to King County MLK Community Healthcare Leadership Community Champion. The list goes on. So, as you join us for the show, I just want you to know that we are here with someone who is doing incredible work, including the necklace that you're wearing. Talk to us about your necklace before we go deeper into our story.
Yeah, so when I first started the organization, I was realizing a lot of our women live in the small apartments, cramped areas. So starting something small, handcraft was important. But because I always like to upcycle, and one night I actually was in my bed reading Oprah magazine, and it says Oprah is ready to have a closet, clean up her closet. So she had this auction. So I was fortunate to get one of the piece of her clothing. I want the biggest piece so I can repurpose. So it was a slate gray jumpsuit. So we incorporate the leaves with our flowers and become the very beginning, very initial sort of signature piece of our organization, this fabric necklace. It's beautiful and it's cheerful. And as a matter of fact, my friend was wearing this piece of necklace and went to our local Shahuli museum and spot by the buyer. And that's how we first started getting to a local museum, is because it's different, it's distinct, and who does not like to have Oprah's hug when they wake up in the morning or on their way out to dinner?
It's so beautiful. Your work is totally inspiring to me, and I know that today we are going to talk really a lot about I don't know, there's so many aspects of your story, but I want us to start from the beginning. I always ask my guests this question, what is it that happened in your childhood that continues to drive your vision and your work today? I share the story that when I was 8 years old, my mother gave me a bicycle so that I could distribute milk and bread in our neighborhood, and how that impacted how I build relationships today, how I am an entrepreneur today, and how I have this fighting spirit with anything that I do. And I feel that a lot of leaders were transformed even before they became leaders. And so I want you to share your own story of what happened in your childhood that inspires all these great things you're doing today with Refugee Artisan Initiative.
Well, I think what inspired me really, this photo that's been with me, was we moved to different parts of the world. In the picture here, you see the woman in the middle.
Yeah, move it towards this other side. The other way, right there. Okay. Right there.
So you see, the lady in the middle, the older lady, that's my grandmother, Xu Zhu. And in this picture, she actually baked me a cake, and then I'm the girl was cutting the birthday cake, wearing the dress she made for me, and then next to her was my late sister that she made the clothes for her, and my mom all the way to the end, the lady wearing the purple flower dress. So Grandma Shizu has such a profound effect on me. She is a woman with rudimentary educations in a small village of Taiwan, and my grandfather died very young as an alcoholic with alcoholic cirrhosis. So she was able to put food on the table, raising 3 children, using her skill, self-taught seamstress, making clothes for all the women in her neighborhood. I often see her sewing, the sound of foot pedaling sewing machine in her house, wearing the clothes. My sister and I practically look like twins. We're only 14 months apart. She would make us matching summer flower dresses in the 70s, plaid suits, and the Chinese traditional clothing. So, she instilled to me the idea that if you have the tools and skills, you can transform lives. And that really instilled me. And before I left Taiwan, my suitcase had a few pieces of the clothing that she made for me. And one of them was this amazing dress. It's made of chiffon. Chiffon is a really delicate silk fabric. It snags really easily. And somehow she decided to make me this super fancy cake layer dress that has with my family from Taiwan to Saudi Arabia to America, and then America back to Taiwan for my daughter to wear at the family reunion. So that's a piece of a legacy. And I always feel like something is missing as I come to America and getting my education. I got a doctorate degree in pharmacy and practicing as a pharmacist for 25 years and just retired last year, so I can focus fully on this endeavor. But I really want to reconnect with my community, and that is the way I give back and continue my grandma's legacy.
That's so beautiful. Speaking about legacies, traditions, currently we are still celebrating the Chinese, New Year,
Yeah.
and, before the beginning of the show, And also, as an African living here in America, one of the things I love about America is how there are so many celebrations of different cultures and of people that I never knew I would actually ever interact with in my life. So tell us about, the current Chinese New Year celebration. I know that it's the year of the rabbit. Tell us about what that means and just show us behind you what's going on, and then we will come back to our regular conversation where we will go back into what you do with Refugee Artisan Initiative. I want us to go deeper into that for a moment.
Yeah, well, Simon, I think it's coincidentally when you told me to have a good lighting in my house, and somehow I set it up, and known to me, it happened to be to my left and right. You see the red banners and sticker on the window. So this is the year of the rabbit. Chinese is working on the Lunar New Year. So this is the year of a rabbit. We have a zodiac of 12 animals, so they rotate. And so when the New Year comes, every household will put things that represent good luck for the coming year. So red is something you have to wear on New Year's Day. And on this side, you see on the top of my wall there, and it tells you that bringing good luck to the family. And then the other one the other side, the round circle, it means food. Food means also abundance of good luck and good fortune. And it's hung upside down in every household because arrival in Chinese means it's same pronunciation as upside down. So you hang it upside down. So those good luck and good fortune will come your way the next year. And so it's a 2-week celebration. We are on day 9 today, and of the 2-week celebration. So lots of good food, lots of gathering with families, and this is pretty much our winter holiday. Schools are out, families get together, and I really miss that. I have a very huge family in Taiwan, and being here in America, I have to remind myself to take a pause and to celebrate. We make dumplings. I have friends come over making dumplings with my family. Again, a lot of food is very symbolic. Fish, dumplings, things with green. Green equals money. So there's all these really interesting symbolic food that we eat. So I love Chinese New Year. So thank you for the opportunity to share with your audience.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I love just the joy in seeing you talk about it. For me, joy, just seeing joyful people around me is very beautiful. But also, as I was saying, I'm raising my kids here in America, and just embracing other cultures allows other people to also embrace my culture, allows other people to understand me better whenever I'm expressing myself. And also, thank you for being open to engaging with my show, even though it's grounded on African proverbs. I just, appreciate you for being open that way. Now, I want us to talk about Refugee Artisan Initiative. For me, I think this is one of the most important organizations here in the Pacific Northwest. I grew up with tailors on the street in my hometown, where if your cloth was getting older, you'd go and patch it. If you are playing and you tore your cloth, you'd go and there are tailors everywhere. And so here in America, one of the challenges I've had is even repairing my clothes. And so there's a lot of wastage where a cloth is not totally worn out, but you have to throw it away, or you have to take it to Goodwill. And so when I began hearing about what you're doing, it was around the pandemic, and I want you to also share with us how you were able to supply, masks to thousands of people, but really talk to us about where it started, talk to us about some of the guiding principles of your organization, and really where it's going. where you want to take this incredible organization?
Well, thank you, Simon, for this opportunity to share with your audience. You all started. You have some ideas what you want to go as a somebody creative and want to give back to my community. It's a journey, right? It's not like I know that's how I am today. You always start with the desire, really looking at the woman that coming to America. I myself is a great example with my parents, especially my mother. When we first come to America, she had to be home. She was working for the government, but she didn't have the really skills that can support her here in America. So it made me realizing that a lot of women come to America have skill like my grandmother. Sewing is a universal language. You can come from Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Morocco, Vietnam, China, Myanmar. It doesn't matter. These are representation of women that come from to us from in Seattle. But if they know how to sew, and this, unfortunately, something just like you say, it's something that we don't emphasize here in America. We are a culture here, especially in a high-tech culture like Seattle. What is your computer skill? What is your, what kind of coding system you know how to do? And it's an equity issue. To me, if you come to America, if you want to use a skill that you already have, we should find a pathway for it. And as I dive deeper, I realize, especially our refugee population, when they first come to America, they have about 90 days of support from our government. And for a lot of them, the airfare to America, it's already a debt they have to pay back. So how can our regular workforce development of asking people to learn English, ask people to learn how to drive so you can go to your work, ask people to find childcare, it's just not applicable for my population, because a lot of time what happened is that when they resettle here in America, the husband needs to find a job right away and the children are going to school. And that leaves a woman who may know how to sew or have some handcraft skill completely isolated because there's no other means for them to connect. Therefore, this population of refugee women in America has the highest unemployment rate of 60, not 60% of unemployment rate. That is just not acceptable. So I doing my small part of way to connect them, give them a place as a refuge, coming to our makerspace, meet our staff, doing intake on what their needs are, doing sewing assessment to see what level are they in. We're not turning you away if you're a beginner. If you need help to brush your sewing skills, we have sewing classes that you can come and starting a community of people to support you. And once you get more skill, you can become artisans. And what that means is that a lot of them will come once a week to pick up the projects or learn a new project on site and take them home. And so they can work from home on their own space and time and then come back for the following week. So this model worked well, especially we are also emphasized looking at how we can repurpose materials right around in our community. So we have 4 pillars of value, and first is sustainability. So we want to make sure we use things that's around us. So Simon, what you mentioned, COVID was a great example because about a month before COVID, I get connected with a biggest Amazon company that vendor that sells bed sheets, and they have a storage full of return bed sheets. Apparently, if you buy bed sheets that you don't like it, you return them, and they're not allowed to resell them for regulation. So there are these bed sheets, 100% high thread count cotton sheets. So the higher the thread count, that means the tighter, more woven. So they're great for mass. So we have all these in our basement, our storage in the beginning. So right away around March 16th, when government instantly says no more, schools because COVID, and we pivot from making kitchen towels and jewelries. We stopped all that, and I start my first ever GoFundMe campaign, basically making masks and send them to the hospital and the clinic as quickly as we can. And that's really when we start to thrive, and also keep our women safe at home, making things that is really essential, especially during the year of 2020. We made over 80,000 masks for our bus driver, because Metro bus drivers still have to drive buses, and in our hospitals, clinics, and your post office still open to accept mails. So places that are our frontline workers that need these items, we send it actually across the country, including Navajo nations, where they are greatly affected by COVID. So we want to make sure they have the PPE they need. So that is a sustainable piece, and equity for us, meaning that we want to ensure the woman that can start working with us will at least make above minimum wage of Seattle. It's a very expensive city, so we want to make sure they have fair wages, and that is an important part when we work with our partner. It's like when you want us to make products, co-design a product, a song product with you, equity is really important. So, if you want to find the cheapest, least amount of labor, we are not the organization that you work with. So equity for women, make sure they have access to the work. And a lot of women also have their own micro businesses. So helping them how to start out their Etsy shop, selling their own product is also really important. And third area is creation of training. As Simon walked in last couple of weeks ago, he saw we have a whole bunch of sewing machine. Training is really important, because some of the women know how to sew, and we realize when they come to sew, they were using one hand, because back home the other hand was using the mechanical sewing machine. So even come to America, they have to transition to use electric sewing machine. So it's the same concept, but it's different. So we started offering beginning sewing classes, because we have a group of Ethiopian women here in Lake City, Washington, come and request, say, we live in a neighborhood. There's no really a place for us to meet and do things. Once my kids in school, we want to learn how to sew. So it is such a satisfying thing to see them coming with no knowledge and finish sewing one class and become friends. They were, pray together. They're all Muslim in the middle of the class, and they bring food to share. And then now they're finish intermediate classes, and few of them are actually become the artisan in the group. So see that progression, how the training can translate into a living wage for these women. It's really what gets me going every morning. And then last but not least is a community, right? So our value of a community is that all are welcome, regardless your religion, race. We are a woman-centric center to make sure that women who can be just fresh off the plane from Afghanistan, have gone through war trauma. For some of those have been here for 10 years, but have never been able to get connected, that we want to welcome you here. We want to see what your potentials are. So I am so blown away as a mini microcosm of the world here at Refugee Arts Initiative, to see the talents that they bring to share, not only their talents, their culture. So currently we have a group of Afghan women are working on a really spectacular project that we are commissioned by the Seattle Opera. It's called Kochiani Project, and they're making these intricate beading, embroidery. Each artisan are working, some can be a month for a piece of art, and we're going to assemble them into a beautiful dress that will debut at the Seattle Opera. So creating a community for these women work together and also elevate their work, because we don't want to say a woman can only do piecework, smaller project, but think bigger. They are artists. Some of them are artists with creativity, and we should compensate for them at that level of work. So anyway, I'm really excited about continue to the work that we did through the 4 pillars of equity, sustainability, training, and community.
I love that. I love that. I feel like there could be so many other pillars added to the work that you do. For example, when I was there, and I'm just so happy that I was able to come, to your maker space myself. I was really moved by seeing a crowd of women looking for opportunities and seeing how you are welcoming them. Some women were coming with their daughters, granddaughters, and they were all excited and interested in really becoming a part of what you're doing. The other piece that I saw, so this is inclusivity. I felt that you are very inclusive and you are inviting. You've created an environment where people just show up and they ask for, how can I be a part of this? And that's really needed in America right now. And also, I saw that there is a climate change angle to the work that you're doing, because you're partnering with the Department of Forestry. Talk about that for a moment.
Yes. So part of somebody really interested in looking at how can we take material and reuse them. And a lot of time, textile, is one of the biggest waste. 85% of the textile end up in the landfill, regardless a lot of effort we do. And as part of, we take back a lot of material, particularly textile, and repurpose them. That we've done that for the last 5 years. But it gets me to think more about what's happening around the world. And then, right now we're in the middle of winter. So you might remember that really hot summer into October of last year that we're still wearing shorts, and our planet's on fire. And I had this opportunity being approached by a consultant for the U.S. Forest Service for about a year and a half, saying, I heard that you do upcycle work, but do you know that there is a football field full of retired fire hoses after they, especially in a wildfire here in Washington, Oregon. And I was like, what? A football field full of it? She's like, can you take as many as you can? And I said, well, we have to think this through, because, there's a lot of logistics. But I really want to make this happen, because, it is a paradoxical that the very instrument that we use to fight the wildfire that's causing climate change will become the source of problem of climate change, because afterward, each firefighting, they will be assessed. If they don't meet the pressure requirement, they have holes, blah, 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 they cannot be reused. So there's really 2 ways to deal with it. One is to pay a service getting incinerated, and that would create even more global warming. And second is that people like me say, okay, let's take some to kind of figure out a pathway, create into a new product, because fire hoses are really durable. So right now we're testing out different things that can become new product that's durable, that can be waterproof. And I will be pitching. I'm one of the finalists through the first ever Next Cycle Washington, first ever sort of circular economy pitch competition in March 23rd to kind of give a pitch on the importance of fire hoses and looking for markets. We think this can be a next thing that we do here at Ray, because we have become a bag guru. We'll make masks, and now we make a lot of bags from coffee burlap bags, and now we can think about how we can turn that become our hero product in the future. And we're looking for partnership. I think a lot of the time doing alone can be very lonely. So we're also in the process of become ethical handcraft certified organization, the only one in the U.S. through the NEST and the cohort of 2022. So hopefully that being ethical handcraft certified, along with this new material, can attract new partnerships, so we can keep as many of these fire hoses out of landfill, and they're really fun to play with.
I love this. I love just the last word you said, playing with it, because a lot of people, when they encounter problems, they become very serious and they forget that a lot of solutions can be found through being playful, So just the spirit of what you said is also the exact spirit of what I saw when I was there at your space. But Ming Ming, we have a big community of people who have been listening, and they're excited to also be involved with our conversation. So I want you to take some notes, if you have a pen and paper, or some mental notes, because we are being joined by a global community that is just going to engage with our conversation today. If you're on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and also comment down below so that we can see what your thoughts are in regards to today's proverb, and also what your comment is in regards to my conversation with Ming Ming, who is the founder of Refugee Artisan Initiative and our special guest today. Ming Ming, we are being joined by a couple of friends who join us here regularly, like M. Jewel, who is saying that this is a comment on YouTube. It's unfortunate the school systems have removed those classes, sewing classes, and woodwork, and learning to repair cars, and cooking classes. And also she's saying that many of those women who are Spanish, who are from Harlem, who are Spanish, and many of the women from the community you're speaking about are in Harlem, and they were seamstresses. And it's just interesting that you're talking about the value of sewing skills. That's what she's saying over there. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But now I want to bring in our speakers on Clubhouse. I want to start with you, Cabs. Just share quickly where you're joining us from, what today's proverb means to you, and share a comment to Ming Ming, my special guest today.
Oh, great. Thank you. Always love being in this room. And for this proverb, it's really a powerful proverb. I think you always have to think about who you invest in. And also, I've volunteered quite a bit. And one of the things I found out, out of the 100 people that decide, yes, we're going to do this, we'll join you, 20% really actually follow through. And sadly, sometimes the 80% is the one that has, most of the complaints, and is not even grateful when the work is done. They just want to come and eat when everything is finished. And so what that does, what I've learned is, when you do the thing, don't do it because of the people. Do it because you're convicted to do what you're trying to do or what you're supposed to do. So that is what I find leads me forward and keeps me continuing to do things that I think are aligned with my purpose. So that's that. Ming Ming, your work is really impressive. I come from a manufacturing background, so and this is based in Kenya. So I'm really hearing you when you talk about the circular economy and the work you're doing with women refugees. In fact, interestingly, there's a community that does a lot of work with women refugees in Kenya, and they make textiles. Most of my runners on my table are from them, and the dining table cloths and Christmas decorations, all of that they make, and they turn over different ideas. So often use recycled materials. There's even a company that's using plastics and making clothes, So there's just so many ideas, and that what you're doing is actually, when I listen to it, is really exciting. And the biggest part that it's more exciting is the fact that it's sustainable, and that these women have a hope, and that's what you're creating. So thank you so much. Back to you, Simon.
Thank you, Cabs. Yeah, it's amazing. Ming Ming turns trash into products, including a lot of used coffee bags from Starbucks. You'll talk about that after we hear from everyone, Ming Ming, because I think that's a great piece that, everybody needs to listen to for a second. But Stella, let's hear from Stella briefly. and continue on with the list of contributors who have joined the stage on Clubhouse. Stella, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what does today's proverb mean to you? And share a comment in regards to the conversation with Ming Ming too.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. Hi, Ming Ming. I love your name. It sounds like something that glitters. Yeah. So,
Please.
on today's proverb, which says the way a donkey expresses gratitude is by giving someone a bunch of kicks. Uh, it's it's actually a Swahili proverb. I think that has been translated into English. And in Swahili, they say "Asante ya punda ni mateke." So, basically, I think donkeys get excited when they are happy, because I used to work with donkeys a lot when I was a young girl. We'd go to get water from the lake, and then the donkeys would carry the water. And after that, after visiting the lake, we would then go and graze them and just ensure they get food and water for drinking. And then you would see that later they would be so excited after eating, of course. They would be so excited and jump up and down, kicking in the air, just as a sign of showing they're happy and all that. And I think that's their way of expressing their joy and happiness. However, to me, this proverb, it spoke to me about rejection. And I love how Simon said that Ming Ming turns trash into products. And I think it kind of relates to rejection in the sense that rejection, it's so disappointing when it happens to you, especially if you're like expecting something that was going to like change your life and it doesn't happen. It is so disappointing the first time, but later when you just take it positively and start reassessing the situation and work so hard on yourself and just try to use it as a fuel to find where you went wrong or where you went right and try to fill in the gaps. Then later you realize that you've improved a lot and you even get a better opportunity than the one you are looking for. So, yeah, thank you. And I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stella. Stella is part of my team at One Vibe, and if you want to be a guest on the show, if you want to learn more about how we are doing this, you should follow her and ask her about it. Kiden, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Share with us your thoughts on the proverb and comments on the conversation with Ming Ming. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Simon. Good morning, everyone, wherever you are in the world. I'm joining you guys here from Florida. Wow, what this proverb means to me. I see how we've been tying all the proverbs to like children the last couple of weeks. And so it makes me think about kids and how when you do nice stuff for them, they don't always say thank you. Sometimes they'll be kicking and screaming, and you might give them gifts. It might be their birthday. And I'm saying this because I have a toddler, and sometimes when I'm expecting a show of gratitude, I get the opposite. But for me, it's also a reminder to just know, hey, he's just a child and he doesn't really know how to express gratitude in the same way that adults know how to. And so this proverb just it's like a reminder to me about knowing your personnel, knowing who it is that you're dealing with and kind of managing your expectations. So that's that. But as far as the interview, Ming, I think you're very, very inspirational. I loved hearing all of the amazing things that you're doing. It's just also another reminder about the power of community and also our skills. So thank you very much. That's my time.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Kiden is an amazing podcaster and a wonderful musician too. So make sure you follow her. Thank you for making the time, Kiden. Brother Earth, how are you? Where are you joining us from? Share with us your thoughts on the proverb and comment on the conversation with Ming Ming.
Top of the day, top of the week, brother Simon, to you and the whole village. Like I said, it's always a pleasure and an honor to dwell upon the wisdom of the ancestors. Uh, as far as the conversation with the speaker, I was in and out and I heard bits of it, but I want to commend her for all the great work that she does. And then I think that's very key how she said that sewing is universal, and that's something that's not valued here in America. But again, across the world, it's a universal language, and that's very key. And as far as the proverb, it says the way a donkey expresses gratitude is by giving someone a bunch of kicks. And what that makes me think of, or it reminds me of, and I think the last speaker, Keaton, mentioned about it. It's when you understand who you dealing with, you know, you understand, you get a better understanding of how to communicate with them, or how they will communicate with you. And also what it reminds me of, I was dating this girl, this lady, a while back, and she told me about something you can get on the internet and take this five love language test, and the five love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And so if you are a type of person who like to do physical touch, right, you might think you expressing that to the another person, but if they like acts of service, the communication won't be clear because y'all speaking two different languages. So that's why it's important to understand who you're dealing with. You get a better understanding of how to communicate, and the relationship can be so much more beautiful when you come to that understanding. I'm gonna park my plane right there. Peace and love, it's Brother Earth.
Thank you, Brother Earth. Hey, Jay, how are you? Where are you joining us from, and what are your thoughts on the proverb and the conversation with Ming Ming?
Hi, Brother Simon, and I'm joining you from Seattle, Washington, and blessings to everyone in this room. I'm so happy to see Johnny on the stage, and brother, I'm never sure what you're going to say and if I'm just going to have to diddle whatever you say when you speak. So I did want to say this, is that the first thing that came to mind regarding the proverb is how particularly men, when I noticed, I don't know if they do it that much anymore, when they get really excited and they're happy and they're thrilled about something, they'll hit each other really hard on the back, or they'll play box or something like that. And so this proverb made me think of that. Oftentimes, the joy that men will express and will share in that type of touching brother mentioned, but they will actually, start jostling and things like that. So, but it's never to be hurtful or harmful. It's because they're really excited, maybe happy to see each other or happy about something that they did together, or someplace that they're going. But anyway, so that's what I thought about when it came to this proverb. Regarding your guest, I am so incredibly impressed. And I think it's wonderful, all the things that she's doing that really is, helping to bring out the skills and the talents and the abilities they already have, but, giving them an opportunity to do it here in this country in a way that will allow them to earn an income. So I'm going to give this to your guest, and she may already be doing it, but this is the first thing that came to mind, that, working with the forest industry, is that there are so many areas around the country, and we're having problems in this country, so I should say around the world, when it comes to water. and water intrusion and having to pack your stuff and leave because of that water intrusion is creating bags for people where water will not intrude in their bags and damage their property. So I would love to see, if that isn't already happening, I would love to see something like that. Bags that are water resistant out of repurposed material. Thank you so much, and wishing everyone well.
That's beautiful. Ming Ming will respond towards the end to your suggestion, but they're well known for bags, and in fact, she's making a bunch of stuff for me too. You know, a bag for an indestructible bag for my Nyatiti music instrument. We're just coming up with great ideas, and Ming Ming is going to be one of the speakers at Kijiji Night, so you guys are going to meet in person. Jay is an amazing poet, a writer, and she's going to be at Kijiji Night as one of the performers. And Johnny, who is speaking at the end of the list of contributors, is also traveling from out of town to join us in Seattle for Kijiji Night as well. But now let's listen to Rich Mo, and then Kenny, and then finally Johnny, just briefly, and then Ming Ming, we are coming back to you to close the show for us. Rich Mo, how are you doing, my brother? The microphone is yours.
Hey, Simon, Happy New Year to everybody else in the room. It's been, and Happy New Year, Simon. This is great. I think the first time I'm coming back on this room's great value, great just potential, and just encouragement as I start the day. My take on the Proverbs for that's posted up there, and to Ming Ming, who's such an amazing individual. The Proverbs reminded me of this Chinese story about it. Just keep it brief, of a farmer in his community, and they talk about a horse uh, wandering away to the wild, and the community come to the farmer and say, "Hey, we lost the horse. It went out. It's a bad thing." And the farmer says, "Good or bad, we don't know." The following day, the horse comes back with two other horses. The community runs back to the farmer. "Hey, uh, great news, the horse is bad. He's back with three more. They wandered back, and there are three more." And the farmer says, "Good or bad, I don't know." Then the son of the farmer trains the horse. They were wild horses, and falls off the horse, breaks his leg. The military comes to recruit, or they come to the farmer and they ask him, "Hey, your son fell off the horse, broke his leg. Good or bad?" He says, "We don't know." The military is recruiting people to join the army. They come to him and they say, "Hey, your son, can he join the army?" He says, "I broke his leg. Good or bad, we don't know." So the moral of the story is about, as in Swahili say, "Asante apunda ni mateke," that whether good or bad, when you do, and your motives are right, and your motives come from a pure place, good or bad, we do not know. But as long as they are pure, they will stand the test of time. And I love that aspect, because there's so much underlying codes sometimes when I'm in the continent and I'm like, want to do good, and you're like, but wait a minute, they might not even receive it. Tenda mema nenda zako is what we also say in Swahili. Do good, move forward. And I so appreciate this proverb. It's really grounding me as we pivot for the year. And for Ming Ming, I mean, we need such more of you. If there was a way we could just juxtapose you and just have duplicates of you, but I really appreciate what you do. It brings us circular thinking in what you're doing. You talked about the Amazon aspect. I've been doing some collaboration with Amazon in my space. And when you see what could considered as waste, what items are being returned, even in the liquidation space, is great value for somebody else who sees the potential of, I think when you were talking about a product, like, was it bed sheets or mattresses? I can't remember what it was. So it's reminding us that stay alert. Whatever you're saying, be a creative. Have that seed of creativity programmed in our DNA. You just never know. What somebody will say it's junk could be the greatest value addition in life. So this is Rich Mo, and glad to be in this space.
Excellent. Thank you, Rich Mo. Let's hear from Kenny and then Johnny. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll go straight away to Johnny to wrap us up, and then come to you, Ming Ming. Johnny, how are you doing, my brother? Go ahead and share your thoughts on the proverb and comment on our guest today.
Peace, peace, brother Simon. It's good to see you. Peace to Stella, Cabs, brother Earth, Jay, Rich Mo, and other familiar faces I'm seeing in the environment. My brother Nate down there. Um, yeah, brother Simon. Thank you for just keeping this platform going, and thank you for having your guest on. I think I've heard that a universal language is a baby's cry and a baby's laugh, but hearing the universal language of sewing really hit different. With the proverb, the way a donkey expresses gratitude is by giving someone a bunch of kicks. At first, I didn't really know which direction I wanted to go with it, but it reminds me of a Jewish proverb that says that one should not approach a goat from the front, a horse from the back, or a fool from any side. And a lot of times in popular culture, we equate fools to donkeys. And so I think that this is a reminder, like Brother Earth said, is knowing the nature of the thing that you're dealing with. And if you're dealing with a foolish person and you approach them from any side, you might get kicked because they're a donkey. So thank you, Brother Simon, for sharing this proverb. And thank you for just continuing this platform. I look forward to spending Kijiji night with y'all at the end of next month.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Ming Ming, so many people shared so many perspectives of the work that they do, of their perspective, of their interpretation of this proverb, but also many people gave you great compliments. So I want you to reflect on some of the things that you heard and then share with us. I feel that I want you to talk about what you do with the used Starbucks, coffee bags, and then from there share with us how we can stay connected with you and the Refugee Artisan Initiative, and also how we can support you. Some of the people who are listening can become donors, some can become volunteers. So we want to make sure you let us know how can we support your incredible work. So I'll pass it to you.
Well, thank you all for your great comments about the proverb, about the program. So being resourceful is what we do here. And being in Seattle, where the Starbucks is located. So all the coffee, majority of the coffee that are roasted by Starbucks are in Seattle. And you can imagine, hundreds and thousands of these burlap bags from beans from around the world, from Colombia, from Southeast Asia and Africa, all come to Seattle. So they get tossed away after they roast the coffee because the burlap material is not recyclable. And now they have become a very one of our most popular product because we line it with bed sheets inside, and in the outside we really look for logo because each bag has tell you the origin of the country. So it becomes a really unique piece of artwork for each piece that we make. And then, as a matter of fact, Starbucks actually buy them back for the employee store. So this circularity of keeping items out of the landfill for as long as possible, in the process creating jobs for our much needed community, is what I continue to strive for. And I know that Seattle isn't alone. Materials are continue being created, and how can we turn trash into treasure? It's continue going to be, one of the way that we could participate in the circular economy.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, go ahead and share with us, any reflections on what everybody said, but also where can we learn more about Refugee Artisan Initiative, and also how can we support you?
Yeah, so thank you for your interest in hearing about the work I do. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And a lot of what we do really is through the community's involvement. So if you're in Seattle, we're always welcome volunteers because we are one of the few drop-in center for materials. People drop their donated fabric, trims, and all that need to be sorted to a way that we can reuse them. So that's really time consuming. So we need that part of help in our community to help us out. We also have groups, volunteer groups in company and corporations that want to have service day. We love that. And right now, donation is critical as we have about 60 women on the wait list right now. A lot of them need to be trained, so that program need to be funded. So a donation towards training will be much greatly appreciated. And last but not least, you can go to refugee with S, arts with S, refugeesarts.org. Look at all the amazing repurposed product that made by our artisans, and see that that's another way you can support us. So together, through community involvement with us and buying the products and also support for the training is how we can sustain our organization.
Excellent. I just want you to quickly talk about the number of women that you've created jobs for right now and your goal. I think you have a goal by the end of the year. There's a certain number you want to reach. I think that's a really, really important fact that I need you to speak to.
Yeah, so when I started in 2017, so I was one woman, and then beginning of last year, before we moved to our new space, we have 13 women, and by the end of 2022, we have 26 women, and in year 2023, we'd like to have at least 45 women to be trained and be in the program, and by 2025, we'd like to have at least 100 women in our program. So we're growing very quickly, adding staff, and looking for partners, to have products made with us. It can be upcycle or not upcycle, but along with really, looking through this huge influx of refugee community to Seattle, particularly from Afghanistan, and how can we address the inequality, the unemployment rate of these women who are normally isolated with a lot of mental depression. How can we get them out of that state, make them feel empowered that they can be the contributor of community? It is very critical. So, it's a big goal, but we think it's doable through thoughtful strategy along with funding that we think we can get there.
Wonderful. Thank you again, Ming Ming, and thank you to all our viewers on YouTube. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and on Clubhouse, thank you, my team, Stella and Cabs and everyone else, and also our listeners on Clubhouse. Thank you all. Tomorrow is going to be our last show until February 27th. I'm traveling to Africa tomorrow, and after that, when I come back to Seattle, I'm organizing a major event known as Kijiji Night. And as I mentioned earlier, Ming Ming is going to be one of our guest speakers there. Johnny, who is on Clubhouse right now, and Jay are all going to be some of our esteemed guests and artists who are going to be at Kijiji Night today. So if you want to learn more, again, connect with Stella, and Stella will be able to share more information with you. But really, look at my Instagram at Okelo Javan, or my Twitter, or here on YouTube, and you'll be able to learn a little about Kijiji Night. But importantly, if you want to join our mailing list, go to my Instagram link. There's a link tree there, and you'll be able to, the first link at the top of that link tree is the Kijiji Night link, and then you'll see other resources down there. I'm grateful. And Ming Ming, don't go. We need you for the rest of, I need you for after the show ends, I need to talk to you for just a minute. Thank you all, and this marks the end of our program today. Blessings.
African Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African Father, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.